The ability to effectively communicate with your dog is key to a positive relationship. If your communication is ineffective, you can't reasonably expect your dog to understand what you want and what you're trying to achieve. At the school, I try and teach people the importance of building a positive relationship with their dog through effective communication, food, toys, engagement, movement, motivation, and focus. Teaching a dog to focus on you and not be distracted by what's going on around it is fundamental to my principles of training. Here we have Debbie working with Kane and continuing to improve his focus and engagement skills. Using verbal markers, something I've discussed in previous communication skills videos, Debbie is reinforcing Kane with a yes and food every time Kane makes eye contact with her. Eventually, Debbie will put this behaviour on verbal cue, using the word look, which will ensure that every time she says look, Kane will focus on her. Kane is constantly being distracted by the food in Debbie's hands, but very quickly realises that he doesn't get the food until he makes direct eye contact. The ability to communicate effectively is the cornerstone of all human relationships. Many of us will have been on holiday in a foreign country and may have had problems communicating with the locals. This can be really frustrating. Some people may take the time and trouble to attempt to learn the language of the country and can't understand why the locals still can't understand them, perhaps due to pronunciation and dialect variances. This is even more frustrating. If we were to invite somebody to visit our home and that person couldn't speak our language, we would naturally assume that they had some understanding of 21st century living. So although language may be a problem, the inability to live or spend time together may not be that problematic. However, if we were asked to take somebody into our home, not only couldn't speak our language, but had no concept of 21st century modern living, didn't know what a house was, what a kitchen was, a Hoover, a car, television, bathroom, bus, shops, and all the other internal and external influences that make up our environment, we would perhaps think long and hard and may elect to not take on the challenge. However, hundreds, perhaps thousands of people do this every day when they bring a dog into their home. Dogs are a completely different species who don't speak our language and have a totally different set of rules to live by. But because dogs have been part of our lives for thousands of years, some people genuinely believe that they come with a full understanding of humans and human society, what to do, what not to do, and should be able to fit into our lives seamlessly. Unfortunately, this could not be further from the truth. Dogs have no idea what human society is and will never understand the concept of how to fit into such a society without some education and guidance. It can only be a testament to the dog that some with very little or indeed no education seem to be able to fit in and for the rest of their lives cause us no problems. However, there are a significant number of dogs that genuinely struggle with living in society at large, and it's our responsibility from an early age to teach them how to do this. You must assume your dog knows nothing, and it's your responsibility to learn how to communicate with it and teach it how to adapt to family life and society at large. Many people believe that all they have to do is to make the dog feel happy, welcome and loved, and that the dog will understand these human values and reciprocate by being a good-natured, calm, relaxed and friendly dog. Some people don't take their dogs to training centres because they say they only want a pet and don't need a highly trained dog in the conventional sense. This to me is like saying I don't need to teach my child how to ride a bike because they're never going to compete in the Tour de France. The end game for all effective training should be how to teach you, the owner, how to communicate with your dog and to shape and mould its behaviour until eventually it becomes a reliable and trustworthy companion dog.